Right now, we've got Eric Stephens from I9 Sports with us today. Eric, how are you?
I'm doing well.
So I think we met when you guys first launched, or I guess came to market with I9 Sports, or soon after. When was that?
Yeah, so we just had just passed our 3-year anniversary. So just shortly after COVID. So we came about 3 years ago, and we were kind of just trying to navigate post COVID and get our youth sports going in Frederick County. And it was a exciting time and still is. So, yep.
Yeah. Yeah, well, what I love about I9 Sports, I have two kids, and the sports situation with young children seems to be you're either all in and giving your kidney, or there's not much in between. And what I love about I9 is that kids can try a bunch of different sports, and there's no like huge commitment other than I think it's once a week.
Yep.
And it's instructional, and they have fun, and they get to learn the game before you really commit further. Would you say that that's kind of the basis for I9?
Yeah, yeah. You hit the nail on the head pretty good there. So, we have two main focuses, and one is to make it fun for kids, right? We want them to fall in love with youth sports before they get into that competitive world, because it
Yeah.
is its own world, right?
Yeah.
If they choose to go that route at all, right?
Yeah.
We also want to have options for kids who don't necessarily want to go that route. They just want to play sports for fun, and not and aren't looking to compete at the highest levels. They just want to enjoy it and get together on Saturdays and keep it simple, right? Keep it lighthearted. So
Yeah.
in that aspect, we don't hold tryouts, we don't bench kids, we let kids play different positions, they all get playing time. We're led by volunteer parent coaches, but we also have an abundance of staff out there every Saturday, so that no team or no kid is left kind of high and dry, right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing that we try to do really well, which doesn't really exist in youth sports, is make it convenient, right? When you think of youth sports, you don't think convenience at all. It's probably the last word that comes to mind regarding youth sports. So there's a few ways that actually we found as parents, that we could make our leagues specifically more convenient for those parents who want their kids to be involved in youth sports and want to get all the great benefits that youth sports offer, but like you said, not have to give up a kidney or their firstborn child or their home to do so, right? So what we do is so number one, it's time, right? Parents, a lot of parents just don't have the time these days. They're working multiple jobs trying to make ends meet. So we do all of our sports one day a week. So practice is always held right before the game, regardless of age, regardless of sport. So it's depending on the age, it's either a 30-minute practice followed by a 30-minute game, or a 45-minute practice followed by a 45-minute game. And that largely allows parents to have their weekdays back, or the rest of their time back. Also, the other thing that we do for those parents who have multiple kids who might want to play different sports, we hold all of our sports, or many of our sports, at the same location at the same time. Wow. So, for example, our big location is Ballinger Creek Middle School. And if you were to stop by there on a Saturday in the spring or fall, even the summertime, you would see we have t-ball, soccer, flag football, cheer, tennis, all happening at the same place at the same time. So imagine having 3 or 4 children who are different ages, wanting to play different sports. You could now spend a few hours on a Saturday with us, rather than every day of the week. Mom's running this way, dad's running that way. There's no home cooked meals. Homework's happening at 10 o'clock at night. We can literally give a family their life back Monday through Friday and just say, come spend a couple hours with us on Saturday. We have Kona Ice out there. We have food trucks out there. It's like a big party.
I was just going to say, it's like a festival atmosphere. I love it.
It's awesome. I mean, we have 500 or 600 kids that'll come and go in a 4-hour time frame at Ballinger Creek.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And then
Well, I do
second
remember,
location.
when my kids participated, there would be like practice at like 3:45. And
Yeah.
I'm like, how are you supposed to do that? Like, people who work and all of that. And you're right, two kids in different sports, it's been impossible to juggle. So I love that theory. And it doesn't mean because it's a once a week sport that the kids aren't learning the sport or they're not engaged in it or they're not, getting the most out of it. I do think we have gone so far into this 5-day week commitment from 5 years old to a sport. There's been so many studies that show that that's not good for anybody. It's not good for the athlete. They get burnout by the time they're 12, 13, 14 years old. They don't love the sport anymore. And I just think your program allows kids to love lots of sports and be well-rounded and maybe find something they never even thought that they would participate in.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, give the kids a chance to miss it,
Yeah, yeah,
so like you said, they start at such a young age now, and they sports specify, which is probably the worst thing you can do
yeah,
at the young age because, every the amazing athletes will tell you not being sports specific at a young age is super good for them because now you can go in and you can every sport is going to give you a different athletic ability. It requires
yeah,
a different a different motion, a different movement, a different coordination. So you're going to learn all of those movements and coordinations. You might start out with soccer before becoming an amazing baseball player, and you can attribute, maybe some of your footwork or your athleticism gained from soccer, to making you a better athlete in a different sport.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So 3 years old, that's really great, especially coming out of the pandemic. What made you choose this? Is it a franchise,
It
national
is a
or?
franchise. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So what made you choose the I-9 franchise to open here in Frederick?
Yeah, good question. So, I-9, my first, so we have a 20-year-old child. He'll be 21 in May. We grew up
Oh
in
wow,
Germantown, Maryland.
yeah,
And when he was 4, we were eager to get him in sports, like most parents at that age. It's like, hey, I think he's old enough. Let's look and see what's out there. So we looked around and we found I-9 Sports was kind of new in Germantown area, and we gave it a shot and we loved it. And I stayed with I-9 for 5 or 6 years. I coached all of his teams, every sport, and it was just a great experience. It was simple. It really kind of catered to those beginner and intermediate athletes. It was a
yeah,
great starting point. It let the kids kind of fall in love with sports. And then even when my kid got more competitive, we kept him in I-9 as well, and allowed him to get kind of see both worlds, right? So
yeah,
we jumped into AAU basketball or, more competitive basketball stuff. And, he wasn't the star player. He didn't start on the team. He wasn't the leading scorer. So he still played and got playing time, but, it was here and there, hit or miss. He still got kind of a upgraded, level of training, but, we wanted to not allow him to lose his passion for sports, and let him just be able to have fun too. So we
yeah,
kept him 9-9 as well. So he loved it, and we did that until he almost aged out pretty much. And so my wife and I, fast forward, we moved to Frederick about 6 years ago, when our next child was born. So we currently have a 6-year-old and a 5-year-old. And when they hit that 3-year-old age, we looked for the first thing we could find in Frederick, and really we were looking for the I-9 program because we were familiar with it, and we found out that it didn't exist here in Frederick. And both my wife and I work full time from home, and had a little time on our hands. And someone from I-9 reached out and said, "Hey, there's 8 I-9 franchises in the state of Maryland right now that are doing all right, and Frederick, has an open territory. What do you think?" And we thought it over for a good while, and we really wanted to kind of put our mark on youth sports in this community. So we went, head first.
yeah. And look, I think it's a really great alternative that many parents should consider, especially when their children are young or not sure what they want to do. Again, it gives you kind of that opportunity to try different sports that you may not even thought of. If there was one thing you'd want everybody to know about I-9, kind of wrapping it up into one kind of thought, what would that be?
Oh man, that's a good question. I would just want them to know that it was it's a great place for them to come, feel safe, enjoy sports, allow their kid to fall in love with it, and just kind of enjoy their time out there with us.
Yeah.
That's the main thing, is that it is pressure-free sports
Yeah.
atmosphere, right? Which I think is lost a little bit nowadays.
Oh, yeah, for
And
sure.
you
I
mentioned
may go down this road with the conversation, but I'm going to just assume that it's you don't have the issues with the parents brawling in the stands, because it's more like a family of people that are enjoying time with their kids. So
It is. It is.
yeah, yeah,
It's a little more relaxed than a lot
yeah,
of competitive stuff, and that's great. I mean, we see
yeah,
a lot of returning families and kids, and we're on first name basis with them, and
yeah.
you see everybody high-fiving, and kind of it is like one big family out there, which is awesome.
Yeah. So what is it? So you can start as young as 6, you said?
You can start as young as 3.
3?
Yeah,
Oh, wow. Okay.
we have
3.
soccer and t-ball for 3-year-olds. Flag football starts at 4. Basketball starts at 4 or 5. Tennis starts second grade. Volleyball starts second grade. So we have a wide variety of sports. We even during the summertime only, we run a really fun league called multi-sport leagues. So
Oh,
in a
fun.
6-week league, they get to play 3 different sports. So every 2
Oh, wow.
weeks we change sports, and those kids get to kind of sports sample and find out what they really like, or just do all 3 of them, if
Yeah.
they're in love with all of them. So
Well, what is one goal you have for 2024? Do you have any kind of objectives or targets you're trying to meet?
yeah, so we want to expand a bit, So we started our first our territory started at Crestwood Middle School and kind of moved quickly to Ballinger Creek Middle School, where there's a lot of room back there, a lot of land that we could kind of set up multiple fields at the same time. So we actually have 5 different fields that'll operate at the same time behind Ballinger Creek. Then we expanded down to the Urbana Elementary area. So we also have a location there during the spring, summer, fall. And we're looking for our next location now. So, it's tough. We've kind of been narrowing down the search a little bit, but there's some good potential in North Frederick, between Monocacy and up in Walkersville area.
Yeah.
And then, even towards, Oakdale or Mount Airy area as well. So we actually have the territories of Frederick County and Carroll County as well. So we can expand, even outside of Frederick County.
Well, that's great. And I'm sure the parents in those areas really want you to come out, because I know as a parent, I'm mad that you weren't here when my kids were young, because again, yeah, giving up your weekdays, weeknights, and weekends for games, is just, for kids this age is sometimes just not necessary. You can go to i9sports.com. Check out all the sports for the seasons. You guys do have a summer camp program. So if you're looking to try to get your kids involved in something, keep them active over the summer, even if it is just to try out a bunch of different sports over a 6-week period. Go out there, enjoy, become part of the I9 family, i9sports.com.